Good morning. Thank you for watching. Another beautiful Lord's Day. A little bit cool, a little bit of rain going on. We've got pretty good rain this week. I know we needed it, so uh, thankful for that. Uh, this morning we got on our sick list, we got Paul Lehue, Ashlyn Hare, John Hare, Wade Candycorn, Melissa Bogle, Irene Bartlett, Lee Heath, Clint Blanton, Terry Parham, uh, Doyle Duke, Naomi Blair, Luana Peeler, Benny Blair, Taylor Blanton, Sharon Armstrong, Randy Simmons, Becky and Lonnie Barks, and Thomas Bogle. And we need to send sympathy to the families of Dr. Gary Bryant, Juan Torres, and Carter Underwood. So please keep all these folks in your prayers. Um, this morning, our lesson's going to come from 1 Peter chapter 4, and we're going to start in verse 1 and go to about verse 4, I think. So, for as much then as Christ has suffered for us in the flesh, arm yourself likewise with the same mind, for that he suffered, and in the flesh hath he that suffered in the flesh hath ceased from sin, that he no longer should live the rest of his time in the flesh to the lust of men, but to the will of God. For the time past when our life may suffice us to have wrought the will of the Gentiles, when we walked in lasciviousness, lust, excess of wine, revelings, banquetings, at abominable uh, idolatries, wherein they think it strange that you men not with them to the same excess of right, speaking evil of you. So, what we're getting at here this morning, we're talking a little bit about uh, changing from what we did while we were sinners to what we need to do after we become Christians. And we got to choose to stop living in sin. Uh, when we choose that, it's going to cause us problems in the world. So we need to prepare ourselves by having this understanding. Choosing not to sin is going to cause hardships and difficulties in the world. Um, So now we see this idea explored further in verses 2 and 3. We're choosing to live the rest of our lives no longer for human passions, but for the will of God. This is an important truth that Peter puts forward to us. Being a Christian means that we are making a decision to no longer live as the rest of the time that we have on this earth obeying our passions and desires. Rather, disciples choose to live the rest of their lives living for God's will. The Christian has a new passion. The Christian has a new desire. The desire is not to do what we want to do. The desire is to do what God wants us to do. You are making a break with sinning. The Christian chooses to say no to the human passions. Notice that the attitude that we have in verse 3, we look at our lives and realize that we have wasted so much time of our lives living like the rest of the world does, and we have wasted too much of our time living in sensuality, um, passions, drunkenness, drunken parties, and lawless idolatry. Notice that Peter does not describe the Christian longing to go back to those sins. Rather, the Christian looks at those activities as foolishness. They are already they There has already been too much in our time of our lives spent doing sinful things of the world that prove to be empty and useless. We do not want to waste the rest of our time on earth doing these empty, sinful activities. The heart of the Christian is wanting to spend what time it has left doing the will of God. Peter describes a mature awareness of life. As we age, we start to realize that all the more that we do not have as much time as we think we have. When we are young, we feel like we have all the time in the world, but when we get older, we can realize how much time is wasted in useless, sinful things. Following your passions is an empty pursuit. We do not want to do these things anymore. We are not pulled by those sins anymore because we want to live for God. We are not pulled by those sins anymore because we do not want to waste any more of our time on this earth doing pointless, empty, or sinful things. So when you become a Christian, you need to look at what you were doing, and you need to look forward to doing the good things that God would have us to do. You know, we've wasted a lot of our lives, you know, even if you became a Christian very early in life, you know, maybe you avoided some of this stuff, but, you know, if you waited until later on in your life, you probably had a lot of sin in your life, and that's wasteful, you know, and it talks about pursuing your activities, and a lot of those activities are probably you know, like idolatry things, and we know that, you know, not worshiping an idol is, you know, a little object or something that we worship. It can be an activity that we put before God. Anything that we put before God is an idol. You know, what do you spend your time doing when you should be doing things for God? And what do you know, if you're not going to church, are you doing something else that's keeping you from that? We need to get away from those things because they are all empty, and they go to nothing. It's, you know, it's not going to do any good for us. So these are a few things. Remember to read that 1 Peter chapter 4, and take that in and think about that. How do we spend our lives these days? You know, the world wants us to do the evil things. You know, they want you to do all the things that keep you from going to church, you know. So think about that. And so that's my lesson for this week. I hope you keep our friends on the sick list in your prayers, and those that have lost loved ones, and keep all of them in your prayers. Please pray for our military men and women, our first responders, and doctors and nurses that keep us safe and healthy. Thank you for watching. God bless. See you next time.